Great. Wonderful. Okay, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us from all over the world. And I'm just going to share my screen for a moment. Well, before I start the meditation, okay. So here we have the Sacred and Wild logo that many of you might have seen during the campaign. But here are the beautiful Alpha and Omega sisters. And while I am speaking, guiding you in the meditation, you can just rest your eyes gently on this beautiful photograph of them as we go in to our heart space. So if you just keep and make yourselves comfortable as you sit in your chair, in your seat. You feel your feet firmly on the ground, or if you're cross-legged, your body held by this solid ground beneath you. Okay, just as we get into the comfort, I'm going to ask everyone just to mute themselves if they're not muted. And now take a big, long, deep breath in, filling your lungs completely before sighing it out. And as your breath leaves you, you just feel yourself relax. On your next in-breath, imagine a beautiful rose gold colored light surrounding you. And as you breathe, you're breathing that light into your body. Imagine it filling your body. And as you breathe out, you're breathing out any heaviness, anything that feels anxious or fearful. Just breathe it out. And as it leaves you, see it transformed and dissolved into that rose gold light. And the next in-breath, again, you breathe in that beautiful rose gold, which is the unconditional love of Mother Nature. Take a few breaths like that. And your next in-breath, take your focus down to your heart space, the space in the center of your chest. Maybe even place your hand over your heart. Become familiar with the rhythms of your breath, the rhythms of your heartbeat. As you're breathing in that rose gold light, imagine it filling up your heart space, cleaning and clearing any heaviness that you're holding there, any Feel that rose gold light of unconditional love filling that heart space, cleaning and clearing any heartache at this moment, dissolving it, clearing it, lifting up your emotions. Feel that unconditional love of Mother Nature create a field around your heart. And now feel it expanding throughout your body, moving beyond your heart center into every cell of your body. And now feel it and see it moving beyond your body, expanding from your heart center throughout your body and then into your energy field. And then even further, moving beyond your energy field to the environment that you are sitting in at the moment. Feel that unconditional love that is emanating from Mother Nature through your heart space into the world. Feel now your love for Mother Nature and feel it resonating with that unconditional love. That is the frequency that we are connecting into. It is that frequency where we are able to communicate with all beings, to resonate with all beings. As we expand our energy field in the frequency of unconditional love, we feel the connection to all beings, all of nature's beings, and all the human beings that are on this call with us today. As we honor these special, beautiful lionesses, now named Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, as we listen to their messages and feel their presence, their lion-heartedness within our own bodies, as we work in service of Mother Nature, in this protective space where only unconditional love is resonated with. Anything that is not of this love has no place here. Slowly become aware of that rose gold light surrounding you. Become aware of your physical body. As you start remembering to be in this moment with your hearts open, in gratitude and love. When you are ready, you can open your eyes or come back into the room. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so what I'd like to do now is to welcome Gaby Hansen. Gaby, if you can put your video on. It's not
I'm here. Yeah, I'm on.
There you are. Thank you. Well, I just want to welcome you, Gaby, to this live call, and you have put so much effort and work into your beautiful gift. which we will be talking about later. And I just wanted to introduce you to everyone. Gaby is a member of the Heart Pride, which was established in July last year, with the sort of pioneering members of the Starline journey. And she was one of the first members. So she's been on this journey with the rest of the Pride for a full year now. And she is living in Spain, although she's South African, and she is obviously an artist, but has always had a complete love for lions. And I've been following your artwork ever since I met you, Gaby, in London a few years ago. And the lions are so present in everything that you do, way before you even, got involved with the White Lion Trust. So definitely a lion-hearted artist.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a surprise to me as well. Somehow they've just come in. It's been wonderful. A real gift, I have to say. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so before we introduce the painting that you've so generously offered, I'm going to share my screen again, and we're just going to talk a little bit about how the Sacred and Wild campaign came to be, and the story of Alpha and Omega, who most of you have probably read the story already on the White Lion Trust. So I'm just going to go briefly through it. But the main message is, how did this campaign start, and why did it start, and why are Alpha and Omega in need of support at this time while they're staying at the White Lion Trust? So let us just have some beautiful pictures of them. That picture that we were focused on, this one, was taken when they'd only been at the trust for maybe about a month. And they are behind a fence there. They're in what was known as a boma, which is a large enclosure, but they are not roaming free with the other lions because of their circumstances. And the reason why we want to support is we want to get them a far greater range to be able to roam into, and I'll explain how that's going to happen. This photo was taken last month, and apologies for the fence being so in focus, but we didn't have the professional camera there. But it's just, if you can just rest your eyes on them as they are in this space, their energy feels completely different. They've become wilder and wilder as they have been in this wild sacred space, which is the heartlands of Tsar Conservancy, the White Lion Trust. Now, their story, how did they come to be here? Well, you see the sign, which was outside of the property of where they come from. And they were rescued as tiny cubs from the canned hunting industry, a breeding industry where cubs are taken away from their mothers at birth. So for two reasons. One, that the cubs can be taken into the tourist industry where they can be cuddled with, and when they get older, they are walked with tourists. When they get too big to cuddle and walk with, they are usually sold back into the canned, or taken back into the canned hunting industry. If they are not in a zoo situation, and they were often sold as trophies. Now, fortunately, this didn't happen with Alpha and Omega. They were taken away from their moms at birth. The other reason why cubs are taken away from their moms at birth is so that the moms will come back into estrus. The mothers become breeding machines. They have stud lines, and they have the mothers that just are like factory farmed lions. That's basically what this industry has been about. So Alpha and Omega were bought by a family and taken out of this industry. They were hand reared by humans, and when there were photo opportunities with them, to be cuddled. They were walked with, as you can see, for tourists to walk with these beautiful lions as they got older and older. And then, as has happened over the years, quite a number of times with these operations where people do have contact with grown lions, the tragedy happened. The first sign was when they escaped from their enclosure and attacked a farm worker on a neighboring property. And the farm worker died a few days later in hospital. But the tours were allowed to continue despite warnings from so many of the conservation bodies. And then a year later, I think it was 2 years later, in 2020, August 2020, the ultimate tragedy happened to this family where they were walking with their person who hand-reared them, and they got a fright. Supposedly, we don't know exactly what happened, but they attacked him and he died. And Linda, who is in the same area as this place, was approached by the family to say, please, we don't, on the day that it happened, to please, you love white lions, you protect white lions, please, can you help by taking them into custody, into protective custody? And Linda agreed to it on a temporary basis because the White Lion Trust, as you know, is not a sanctuary for white lions. The goal and mission is to bring the balance back into wild nature by bringing the white lion genetics back into the wild and to get that balance back, and ultimately to have white lions roaming free in the greater system. And that can only happen once trophy hunting and canned hunting are abolished. Fortunately, the canned hunting industry is being closely looked at and has been suggested by the minister that it needs to be stopped. That is it hasn't gone to law yet, and which is what we are pushing for. So here again is Alpha and Omega soon after they were brought to the trust, and you can see in their eyes here the distress and the sadness. They loved their person that hand-reared them, but they are wild lions. They could not carry on being a human plaything. And as you can see by the hashtag on this photograph and the Sacred and Wild logo, it was part of the campaign when on the virtual Starline journey in November last year, the lionesses were still at the trust, and Linda had to make a decision whether to take them in permanently or to let them go somewhere else, or to find another sort of dignified option to them. Otherwise, there was a fear that they would be killed. In the past, there wouldn't have even been a question. Any wild animal that kills a human would automatically have been killed by nature conservation and the powers that be. So things have changed where people are starting to realize that there are reasons why these attacks are happening, and it's not necessarily the lion's fault, and it never is the lion's fault, to be honest. So at this time, our heart pride had gathered once more in the heartlands, and virtually because of the pandemic, and we were listening to the messages from Alpha and Omega. And we needed to know where was the right place for them. What did they want? That's what our heart work is all about. It's receiving guidance from Mother Nature on practical steps for the future of individual animals and of environments. What are the practical next steps? What was the practical next step for Alpha and Omega? Now, taking on 2 tamed lions that in all likelihood will never be able to roam free where there's humans in the same area, because they have been habituated to humans. So which means they are very used to touching humans, walking up to humans, being cuddled by humans, which is no way for a lion in the wild space to be. You know, the lions at the trust are very familiar with the vehicles because they've known the vehicles from the time that they've been at the trust, and some of them from their birth. The rescued, sort of the founding lionesses, the founding lioness and lion, although had come from the breeding industry, they had not been handled. They were very much hands off. They hadn't been handled for their whole lives. And so none of the lions of the trust had ever had human contact unless under anesthetic when they were having treatment or radio collars fitted. So what to do? These are 2 lionesses that will be in enclosures or in a protected area for the rest of their lives. And that is a lot of responsibility to take on. So there was such a dilemma. Is it the right thing to do? What is the right thing to do? And when we asked the lions, they showed us such incredible messages, and some of the Heart Pride are with us today on this call, and perhaps they can speak about it at the end. But the messages of light shining from them, and really wanting to be on this Nile meridian, this sacred place in the heartlands, to work with that energy of the Nile meridian, to work with the message of the white lions. They are sacred beings. They are white lions. And because they had been through this industry, which the White Lion Trust has been campaigning against and trying to get abolished for the last 30 years, they are the perfect ambassadors for the white lions and for all beings all wild beings who have been taken advantage of in this way by humans for entertainment, in a consumerist, commoditizing way. And of course, that message resonated with everyone that had met them, whether that was virtually or in person. And so we decided that if they are going to stay at the trust, we need to support the trust, the Heart Pride. And Gaby was on the very first Starline journey, virtual Starline journey. The Heart Pride decided that we need to share their message and we need to help raise funds so that they can live in a dignified, protected area for the rest of their lives. And that means, it does mean money to build a much larger enclosure than they have now. I'll just go through a few more photographs of them so that you can see this was the more recent photographs. You can sort of see the extent of their enclosure in these pictures here. Well, that's quite a beautiful one of them lying together. And the boma that they're in now is, as you can see, large, but it's not large enough for them to really roam and exercise. And the vision is to have an enclosure in the lands to the south, which is known as Mbube, which will ultimately be the heritage center where people can come and visit. But they will be in a wild enclosure much bigger than this, maybe about 4 or 5 times the size of where they are now, and able to be next to the wild prides that are there at the moment. It was very interesting because Alpha and Omega had never before seen other lions, and they have now been introduced to the Royal Trinity, which roam wild on the property that they're where this boma is situated. And it was incredible to witness their introductions because, and slowly but surely, the Trinity have been showing Alpha and Omega what it is to be a wild lion, and preparing them for the bigger area and the greater move. Oh, there is them eating on their supplement. And if you can just look through the fence to, I think this is Omega's face. If you can just look into her bright eyes and feel that sense of wildness that has been gathering. Their bodies have trimmed down because they've been getting the correct feeding. They've been moving about more, and just being in the sacred space, being honored for who they truly are, has been incredible for their upliftment of their emotions. The heaviness, it's still there on occasion, because they do, at times I feel like they do miss their family and their people, and because animals are connected and can feel everything that their people that they are connected with feel, they are feeling the sadness and the grief and the anger and all the emotions that come with tragic circumstances like this. So they feel it. But they also, whenever I've communicated with white lions, I've always got this message on different levels. There's the very physical message of, how they're feeling in their physical body, how they're feeling emotionally, but then there's always a greater, bigger picture message. And that is what Alpha and Omega are wanting to share, the greater message, the bigger picture of recognizing all of nature as sacred and wild. And that is their main message, and it came through in so many different ways. So now I want you to really look at this beautiful painting of Gaby. And Gaby, I'm going to hand over to you now, and we'll share the picture of the painting again, but I'd love to just hear from you the message that Alpha and Omega gave to you the first time you encountered them. And
well, yeah, similar to what you were just saying now. I mean, all those things, because they're really holy beings, actually, all these white lions, sacred and holy. And they really link to the intelligence of the light and universal consciousness, I feel. And they sort of, in a way, the wings come in, and, if anyone's read Linda's book, she will talk about the wings, but the wings really came in quite strongly. So they're sort of linked to winged beings or angelic beings. And I think a lot of people think of angelic beings as fluffy things, but they're really powerful. I feel there's a real power in all of that, and their connection to the light ultimately, and they really represent all the virtues and the sacred principles that belong to the heart, and the sacred laws, the spiritual laws that govern the universe. I feel, if people just really understood what they really were, and I mean, it's really quite amazing, and you can just feel that presence when you connect with it. It's extremely humbling to have any form of connection with them at all. Actually, it's amazing. So it's an honor to be able to be connected to them in any way. And I do feel whoever has this image, and what I did feel over and above, which I just wanted to mention, is that this image that comes into anyone's home, which I found really interesting, is like a portal for them as well. it is how they are working with us. I do believe that they are orchestrating something within all of this as well, that they have such a consciousness. So they are connecting with individuals as individuals are connecting with them, and it is how they are doing their work. They are working through people. And I feel that when you connect with them, they sort of, in a way, there's like a recalibration that is going on. They are also sending their message through us as they are connecting with you, and as you are looking at them, and as you're looking at all those symbols, something is happening. And as I said, I felt that it was, even though you can look at it in this pretty picture, I think there are things that are unlocking inside of you, and there are messages sort of coming into you that are beyond your mind. And it is something that is just going on. I really felt that when I was painting it. So that was kind of interesting.
I'm just going to share it again, because as you mentioned the symbols, you know, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but there's the DNA symbol that you represented. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, the DNA sort of was interesting. It sort of came in, and then I wasn't sure about putting it in, but it sort of wanted to stay in. And, you know, it's sort of linked to biological information that is transmitted through our consciousness. And I think it's also linked to the fact that there are messages and there are downloads, what we would call like a download. There's information that is flowing through us, and that all of life in all its forms is constantly trying to interact with us and guide us and share its infinite wisdom with us. And ultimately, I feel that what the message was, what I got was that nothing is beyond the transformation, that it is the link between human and the celestial, and that nothing is beyond the light, you know, that the light can transform anything within us. And it is a form of how information is kind of coming into us as well, and is changing us on a very deep level. It is changing humanity. It is changing our structure, our inner structure in some way. And there might be more to it than that even. But ultimately, you know, the DNA symbol is also actually interestingly found in the flower of life symbol. And I mean, the geometries are, I mean, geometry, sacred geometry is known to be the mathematics of the universe, of you know, of sound and light. And it is interesting how everything is found within all these structures. So the DNA strand is actually found within the flower of life symbol, which is interesting. And I didn't even know that, but I found that out while I was painting it, because it sort of all appeared at the same time. So it was a learning process for me as well. So their message is sort of really quite a deep one in many ways, and there may be much more to it than we even know, really. And that's just what I'm learning as I'm going along.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, as we evolve as humans and become more and more open to the consciousness, we'll probably find there's more messages in this painting for
that's right,
each of us.
Yeah.
And then there's
Karen, sorry.
No, carry on. Sorry.
No, what I was saying is like sacred geometry being, you know, is what is known as the language of the universe. Initially, I was just going to put a sun behind them because I know they are linked to the sun. But then the sun was, and then I was showing the symbols, and that was very distinct. So there are obviously messages within that. The Metatron's cube, which isn't completely drawn in there, but it is all the lines, the sort of the cube lines within that is contains all the geometric forms that are found in life, and it is found in snowflakes, in flowers, they are geometric codes that are found in everything, in DNA molecules as well, interestingly, and basically in all the heavenly bodies, in everything. So this particular symbol represents the balance and energy within the universe, and it shows how everything is interconnected. All life is interconnected, and regardless of how small or insignificant it may seem. And it also represents, interestingly, the balance of the masculine and the feminine. So there is a message in that, how we can bring balance within ourselves, how we are balancing masculine and feminine in ourselves, and how we are showing up in this life. And how are we doing that within ourselves, I think. And then the flower within that Metatron's cube is actually known as the seed of life, and it is part of what is known as the flower of life. And this is meant to be the basic template of all creation. And it goes much deeper than we can probably imagine. There's a lot of secrets, sort of, or sacred knowledge, should I say, that are contained within, you know, all of this. It's meant to be linked to the consciousness of God, of the light, and creation itself. And it is representative of all underlying truth and love and beauty in life. And I think truth, love, and beauty are all on the same frequency from what I have been shown. So those two things are really big messages within themselves that appear behind them.
And it's so beautiful how you've just collated it all, you know, just brought everything together with the wings, with the cosmos.
Yeah. Yes. And they sort of showed me, I have to say, they sort of showed me how to do it. It was sort of like a bit like a paint by number. So now we do this thing. So this is what happens next.
Well, that is that's just so special to hear, you know. But of course, you need the talent to put it all together as it's shown you, which you so definitely have. And just a little bit about the maybe about the flower, and you know, also just to speak to people who maybe don't know what you mean by they showed you. How did they show you? What was the process?
So, you know, initially I had this great idea, which I should know better anyway, to have any idea around creating art. And it's my own journey in painting in a much more intuitive way and learning to listen, because my gosh, we really, as humans, as humanity, really needs to learn to listen. So this has been my sort of progress of having to learn to listen, and I've got a long way to go. So so I initially had this idea, and then I knew I could just feel by the heaviness of how things were working. It was like a wall in front of me. It just wasn't happening. So so I panicked for a few days. And I thought, oh God. And then when I was lying down one afternoon, the image of the painting came up, but it was only shown in parts. I saw parts, but mostly I just saw light, and I kept being shown light. And I thought, oh, hang on, that doesn't look like what I've got going on. And the dimensions they showed me the dimensions, and the whole image sort of was, I could feel the way it needed to look, and the feeling of it was, it's sort of, everything really comes through in a feeling, and it's how we interpret what we feel. But then I also have visuals, I can sort of see things sometimes. And so they showed me, and as I went back and I readdressed it, I actually just got an entire new canvas and started from the beginning. And then I was just showing step by step what needed to, because I kept sort of thinking, well, I don't know what to do next, but you know, the colors, the way things were, and I knew every time an image came in that where it needed to go. So it was their image, and they presented it to me. And I thought, well, this is going to be a surprise to everyone, because it's not very African. I thought, you explain this. I'm not saying anything, you know. Yeah. So that was for me, that was my interpretation. So somebody else may have interpreted that differently, but it is what I saw, and it is my interpretation of what I saw. And hopefully that is an honor to them. Certainly the symbols were very much a part of it, and when you understand more about the sacred geometry, you can certainly understand why they would choose to put that in. And the proto flower, interestingly, besides it's being linked to Africa, and it is linked to where they come from, it is interestingly one of the oldest flowers on the planet. And so it is, you know, the plants have their own wisdom and information to share with us. So that is a message as well. So the proto flower, it symbolizes transformation, interestingly, and courage, which I actually didn't really understand myself. So, you know, I know that everything that was on this painting was significant in some way. So so everything is a message. And it also resembles a star. It resembles the star, that's right. And it is linked to the crown chakra and the soul star chakra, which they call, and I think it's the chakra above the crown, if I'm not mistaken. So, and that would also be linked into, interestingly, the DNA symbol, which is sort of coming down. So I would imagine that is linked to the way we are receiving information, and that the light is connecting with us if we choose to. And their message was that they are guarding the doorway, and the doorway is within us. And really, it is about aligning to the sacred and the spiritual principles that govern this universe. And in order to align to that, you can't fake your way in, you can't pretend, you cannot enter these doorways in a pretense. You have to become the doorway, you have to become the energy that you are trying to kind of enter. So it requires softness and a reverence and a deep respect for life and a conscious awareness of how we live. And it is linked to all the messages that you have already mentioned and spoken about for all of us. And that is sort of what I really felt from them. And that, you know, that it is time for humanity to recognize what is happening in this life, that we cannot live, you know, there are laws that govern this universe, and that we cannot live the laws according to humanity, which is what humanity has been doing to their great detriment. And isn't that really a comfort to know that we have to align to a universal and spiritual law, and that there is an intelligence that is in everything, and that everything is conscious and everything is communicating with us all the time. And we really need to be responsible and learn to listen and pay attention and live a life with reverence.
And the hope and the comfort is that it is possible. You know, we are shown how.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and also, you know, as our energy becomes more realigned to the light, I mean, that is the other thing. As one is aligning to this, it speeds your energy up. And actually, as your energy speeds up, you open up much more to receive information. And that is really how it works. So it is about, you know, living more with reverence and more consciousness, which is what the heart pride work is all about as well.
Absolutely. You know, heart energy achieving real transformation. And it's always with the heart that we enter into that, well, opens the doorway into that consciousness, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a lot of people feel, and I know, you know, people talk about love, and love is a word that's overused, and people, you know, the heart energy and love energy, which is the very fabric of our consciousness and the universe, is so powerful. It is so intensely powerful. It is such a force. And it is just not a fluffy emotion, which people think it is. It actually changes everything. It changes people as they're aligning to it. It transforms humans as they open up to it. And it can change your life. And these beings will change your life because they are bringing in this message and they are aligned to the light as well. So for me to be linked in with all of this work and these lines and all of nature is just, you can just change your entire life, really. Yeah. And everyone else is in your family as well. That is what I believe.
Well, it's, you know, as I'm looking into the painting, I'm just seeing more and more and getting drawn in more and more, just, you know, the way the light plays on the faces and you know, they ultimately, you know, they were the product of that fluffy love. You know, they were the humans that cared for them, loved them. But it wasn't the love that we're talking about, this unconditional love, or the love that nature needs and is asking for. So, you know, really I just love what you were saying about that, and thank you for bringing that in. Another thing that was coming to me as you were talking about the protea flower, which is the national flower of South Africa, you know, it is part of the fynbos family. And fynbos, the seed needs to be sort sort of scorched. So there needs to be a fire in order for the seeds to be activated for life.
That's
And
amazing.
that is, you know, the protea flower, they're not that easy to grow. And unless you've got activated seeds that have been activated by fire, and in nature, on the mountains of the Cape where where they are prolific, you have these seasonal fires every sort of 5-6 years, and then there's an abundance of fynbos. And this is like Linda talks about the scorched earth policy, where the fire actually just takes everything that is not serving away, but activates this new life and this new way of being. So really another beautiful symbol in that painting.
Yeah, that's amazing. I didn't actually know that. And that's what I mean. I think there's much more in all of this. There's much more in the message, in what we've just sort of touched on some of it, but I suspect there's much more that is really being said. And mostly I feel that if people just connect to them in any way, that is also how they are working. They have a very crystalline sort of consciousness, and they are extremely aware of everyone who is connecting with them.
Incredible. Yeah.
Make no mistake, they are really aware. And I do believe that whoever puts the painting in their house, you are bringing that energy into your life. It is phenomenal. It really is phenomenal. So, wow, amazing to have that gift of them. That connection with them they're just remarkable. One can't say enough about it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gaby, and for your generosity.
Oh gosh, no, anything I would do. Hopefully it's the first of many to come. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. So what I'd like us to do now all together is I'm going to lead you into just the beginning of the heart process, where you can connect with Alpha and Omega. And I'll put the painting up again so you can just be drawn in and just to become familiar with what this heart process is all about. And then perhaps when we'll have some time for questions, it'll be a little bit over an hour, I think. So if you can stay, have time for questions, and then you can share, if possible, what has come to you. All right, so I'm going to put that beautiful painting on again. And then once more, just get yourself comfortable. Move away from your head. We've been listening to the beautiful words of Gaby's, the sacred symbols of the sacred geometry in her painting. So let's come away from the mind and let's go into the heart as we gaze onto these symbols and into the faces of these sacred lionesses, Alpha and Omega. So now move into your heart space, which is still filled with that rose gold light, that unconditional love of Mother Nature. Feel the love that you hold for Mother Nature in your heart. Feel the love that you have for these magnificent beings that have been depicted in this painting, which was guided by them, through them, for them. Feel that love that you have, that unconditional God love, and send it out to them at this time, at this moment. And then just be in that connected space and see what comes. Be aware of any images, any sounds, any word, any emotion. Just become aware You're in a safe, beautiful space, a field of unconditional love as you connect with these two magnificent beings. And perhaps you ask a question, how may I assist? Show me in what way I can assist Mother Nature at this time. While you're in this space of connection, thank these lionesses for allowing us to speak of them, to share their message. Thank them for allowing us to hear them, to connect with them, and to communicate with them. Thank them for their very presence on this planet, showing us the way of truth, the way of light, the way of love, nature's way. Once more, become aware of your heart center, your heart beating with the rhythms of Mother Nature, of the earth, as you feel your feet firmly connected to the earth beneath you. Feel yourself grounded, as you come back into the room, to this gathering, as we continue to share knowledge and experience. Thank you. Okay, everyone, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And I think we're ready for questions if anyone has anyone. But before I start with that, I'd like to just let everybody know, obviously not everyone's going to be able to bid for this beautiful original painting. But you can make a donation on the White Lion Trust Sacred and Wild donate page, and to assist if that's how you feel you're able to assist. And there will be some limited edition prints as well, and that Gaby has agreed to sign, and that will be made available at a later date, just to let people know that it's the original is, you know, going to be to one special supporter, but there will be opportunities for that image to be in more than one person's home. Okay. All right, I'm just looking at some messages. Yeah, someone is asking, Laura is asking where to see the amounts of the bids. The bids should be posted on the White Lion Trust Facebook page, but I think I'm going to get Ali to check them just before we end the call as well, to see what the latest bid is. And thank you for this question. What is the concept behind the design of the Sacred and Wild logo? Looks like a chain link fence. Actually, the logo, as you'll see, it is 2 triangles. And it was shown to me actually by Alpha and Amiga. Let me just put that logo up while I speak about it. Oh, I think I'm sorry. Whoops. Started to rain here as well. Okay, so if you look at, there's 2 triangles here. And this is actually a sacred symbol, as above, so below. But this particular symbol with the red link between is written in Credo Mutwa's book, Indaba My Children, which was written in the 60s. And it is about the sort of hieroglyphic, the ancient hieroglyphic language of the African people, the first African people, which he calls the Bantu people, the people. And it actually signifies unity and love between 2 beings. So here is the one sort of being, and there's the other, and they are connected. But within that are these sacred symbols of the triangle. So it just, when I came across that symbol and I shared it with the Heart Pride and I shared it with Linda, it's a very strong symbol. We had lots of different ideas, but that just felt strong and perfect for the message. So thank you. Thanks for that, Laura. Thank you, Kay. Simon, thank you for sharing the Heartwork webinar. I don't know if someone can put up the White Lion Trust, the donate page link as well in the chat for people. And thank you for sharing. How may I assist Mother Nature at this time? By being your authentic self, free from all conditioning and human understanding. Rejoice in the being that you are. Rejoice in the light, in the love, and in the joy of creation. Beautiful. Thank you so much, Anne. And that is, the joy is so important in our work, in this heart work, because if we get sucked into the sacrifices and the tragedy, then we just aren't able to rise above it and actually do the work. But if we focus on that light and the joy of creation, wonderful, thank you. And Sue, you got message of water for life. That's beautiful. Yeah, those colors are absolutely lovely as well. Okay. Okay. See if there's any. Okay, so Laura's just sharing that the highest bid is $2,222 US. That was the last bid posted. Ali, would you like to share what the current highest bid is? Because we're also having email bids. Anthea saying faith was the word they gave. Yes, Ali.
Hi, Wynter. I'd love to share. Yeah, so I'm really delighted to announce that our current highest bid by email is $8,100 now. An incredible, generous donation there.
That's incredible. And are you allowed to share who it was made by, or was it an anonymous donation?
I'm not certain, so I won't say at this stage. Thank you.
Okay, but you will. You'll put that up on the Facebook bidding as well.
So that's right. Yeah. So the bids, both by Facebook and email bids, will all be reflected on the pinned post at the top of the Facebook page after this call, and then we'll be updating that each time we get a new bid until the auction ends at 5 o'clock Lion time tomorrow.
Perfect. That's wonderful, Annie. Thank you so much. And so, yeah, the bids, Laura, is it's on the pinned post on the White Lion Trust Facebook page, and there's also a page on my Animal Talk Africa page. On the homepage, there's details about the auction, and there's also on the White Lion Trust page in the events, in the latest news section is more details about the auction as well, and the painting, in case people aren't on Facebook. There's also an email address, auctions@whitelions.org, where you can place your bid. Okay, Claire is sharing here, strong events and violence lead to rebirth. It is change. Courage to be who you are, love and share nature with children, for divine love abounds. Beautiful, Claire, thank you. And yes, we are, gosh, we're in a world of change and transformation at the moment, and that is coming with all these uprising and violence, and here in South Africa, and then everything that's going on in Afghanistan, and all over the world, there have been these uprises and challenges, and change is not comfortable. And I think the transformation that nature is showing us that needs to happen is not going to be comfortable for us humans. And certainly possibly not even for nature herself, but she's used to being reborn again and again. She's not scared of death as we are. We've been, as somebody said, to let go of all the human understandings and conditions. She's not scared of that. And that is such an important message, I think, from nature, that we mustn't be in our fear. We need to transform our fear and know that anything that changes can be faced with love and can transform our fears so that we don't have to suffer in fear at every moment. And of course, our world is so filled with fear at the moment. Christine and Ali, thank you, are putting up the links and the email address for more information about the artwork. So thank you, everyone. Okay. So Ali, there weren't any messages from the Facebook Live post. I think most people were on the Zoom call rather.
Yeah, that's right. We had people watching there too, and hearts and likes, but no questions other than the flower name, which we addressed there and on here.
Okay, wonderful.
There was this one person who said thank you so much, and she's going to make a donation to, and she's been given the link.
Okay, how wonderful. Thank you. Gosh, my heart is overflowing at the moment, with absolute joy and just respect for these amazing lionesses who have guided this process for their future from the very beginning. And I just want to say thank you to the Heart Pride for making this happen. And, you know, Gaby, we felt that this auction would be kickstarting the campaign, because we launched the campaign and then we had to address a few, there were a few challenges in the first couple of months. And interesting, just to share a little bit more, the day we launched the Sacred and Wild campaign was the day that Minister Barbara Creasy, the Environmental Minister of South Africa, announced that she is proposing to government that the canned hunting industry needs to be ended. So there is a draft policy in place that just needs to be promulgated by Parliament for it to become law. And so that is the next step in ending this heinous industry. But it was just so poignant for me that on the launch of the Sacred and Wild campaign day, this was announced. So they've been working hard in ways that we have no idea, along with their brothers and sisters, the wild lions that are around the properties, and all in the greater Kruger area and along the Nilotic Meridian, and all the lions in captivity around the world. This is for all of nature, not just for lions. Thank you, everyone. So I think on that note, yes, Christine.
I was just going to say that Laura's added another comment, and Claire as well has shared, if you want, in the chat, if you just wanted to, would you like me to read that for you?
Yes, I don't see them on my side.
Sure. So Laura added, it's helpful to have these figures in case we are doing fundraising so people know what they're bidding against or where they can find the bids. Okay. So I think we've addressed that they're posted on the Facebook page and updated as emails came in. We wanted to make this a special surprise with the latest bid for those that attended today. And then Claire wanted to share, strong events and violence lead to rebirth. It is change, courage to be who you are, love and share nature with children, for divine love abounds.
Thank you. Yes, that is beautiful. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, I see some people may have come in and out. This will be, the link for this will be shared, and I'll certainly share it through my mailing list. So my mailing list is animaltalkafrica.co.za if you want to be updated from for this and other things around animal communication. And it will be shared on the White Lion Trust news as well. So subscribe to their newsletter as well. It would be great. Okay, and I think that's all. Thank you so much for being with us and sharing this hour and a bit. And I hope you have learned a lot. I learned a lot through Gaby's explanations. And there's Gail. I want to say thank you to Gail Clement for starting off the bidding. Thank you so much, Gail. You were the catalyst of it all. So thank you. And a huge thank you for everyone who's been just working with the energy to say bid, 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 and those who have actually, had the courage and the generosity to bid as well. Thank you so much. And once more, Gaby, I don't know if you want to say anything before we say goodbye.
Thanks so much, Wynter. No, it's been beautiful. And I just actually one last thing, I think it was Anne who mentioned the joy, and really the joy is linked to the heart. And I think that ultimately the message is to listen to the heart, which is enlightened. It is an enlightened being inside the body. And don't listen. The mind is what brings in the fear, So pay attention. And it's the courage to listen to yourself and to trust what you're feeling. Ultimately, that is our journey here, and that is their message. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here with everyone, and thank you so much. It's been wonderful. I hope we can do more of it. Thanks so much, Wynter, and really down to you and Linda. You do such amazing work, all of you. It's incredible, and I've been inspired by all of you. So thank you so much.
And we couldn't do it without everyone's support, and everyone's hard work and practical work and everything. So thank you, and have a wonderful evening or day ahead wherever you are, and sending lion-hearted love to everybody. Thank you.